everyone, my name is Marissa. I am a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer, and today we are getting started on the reintroduction phase of the low FODMAP diet. That means you've watched the first video where I went into the elimination phase and I removed every FODMAP or high FODMAP food from my diet, and now I am moving on. We are moving on together. If you are going through the low FODMAP diet, you might find a lot of value in this video because I am going through it myself and I am providing all of the tips, all of the experience and aha moments that I have along the way. So buckle up. First, before we get into the vlog portion of this video where I walk you through my days doing the reintroduction phase, I would like to talk about what the reintroduction phase is, how you do it, why it's important. This is the time where you start to add back high FODMAP foods into your diet to find out if they are a trigger for you or not, and in what portion sizes those foods may trigger your symptoms. Now, common IBS or SIBO symptoms can include gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal cramping, and more. So we are going to keep track of our symptoms in a journal. For me, I have my vlog as my journal, helping me keep track of everything that I experience along the way. But if you are not vlogging your experience, I definitely recommend grabbing a food diary or just a little planner you can jot your symptoms down in day by day. If you've gotten to this point, you may be wondering, is it even necessary to reintroduce? I feel so good now. Why would I want to add foods back that trigger my symptoms? Well, it is very important because it's going to help you find food freedom. The low FODMAP diet is not meant to be long-term because it does restrict you from a lot of important foods that provide a lot of important nutrients. So I don't want you to get reliant on constantly being low FODMAP. Trust me, we will find high FODMAP foods that do not trigger symptoms for you. This will allow more freedom, especially when you're going out to eat with your friends or family. You won't have to say no to everything on the menu and just get a salad, like bare bones with absolutely nothing on it. I've been there, it's not fun. You can have a burger maybe, or French fries. You can start to enjoy your favorite foods again and add that variety back to your diet, which is so important for nutritional balance and longevity. And to make you feel good, have energy, all of those good things. Plus, those high FODMAP foods are really important for your gut health. A lot of them contain prebiotics that actually help feed your healthy gut bacteria. So it is really important to start adding those back in so you can steer clear of gut problems in the future. So here's how this is gonna work. There are two different ways you can start introducing foods back. Remember that when you are not actively reintroducing one food, you have to remain strict low FODMAP. This is an experiment. We have to have control and we have to isolate certain foods to know whether or not they're actually causing us problems. You could do it one way where you do the low portion size of the food, then take a break, then do a moderate portion, then a break, and then a high amount, and then a break. The rest of the week, you take rest days where you just stick with a low FODMAP diet. Or what I am going to do is on day 1, a low amount, day 2, moderate, day 3, high amount, and then for 3 days after that, I will have a break. And I'm gonna continue to do that until I get through all of the foods on the list. Now, you may be wondering, does it matter what order I eat the foods in? Do I have to start with sorbitol containing foods? Do I have to start with fructose containing foods and start F, go to O, go to D, like the acronym? That is not the case. You do not have to do that. I would recommend starting with a food that you are most curious about or something that you really miss. For me, that was avocado. I added so much avocado to all of my foods that was the first thing I wanted to try. And then from there, dairy and gluten are the big ones that I really wanted to add back because those were staples of my diet before starting the low FODMAP diet. For me, that was what I decided to do. So you can choose which foods you start with and which foods you end with. If you want real, accurate, up-to-date information on the foods you will be adding back in the reintroduction phase, I highly recommend downloading the Monash University FODMAP app. That's fun to say, because that will give you everything you need to know in order to successfully do the reintroduction with the right portion sizes. Because we all know, if you watched my last one, that portion sizes are a huge deal. So you want to make sure that you are adding them back in the correct amount when you're doing this, so you're not messing things up and prolonging the process. As I take you through each food I am reintroducing, I will also be putting on the screen other foods that you can also use to reintroduce. You do not have to reintroduce every single one separately. One food will cover an entire category and allow you to decide if the other foods in those categories would also cause you problems, because, for example, all high fructose fruits and vegetables have something in common. They all have that high fructose component. So you do not have to add back every single one, because the thing that's going to be causing you problems is the fructose. We know that. I will also be showing you the portion sizes of each food if you choose to do this with me. To the best of my knowledge, the foods and serving sizes, in case you do not have the FODMAP app. You can always reference what I put in this video. Just keep in mind, if you're watching this in 5-10 years, there may be updated information. You will want to verify that the information in this video is correct. That's the fun thing about nutrition. We are learning new things each and every day in this field. Things that we knew 10 years ago may be out of date today, just as something that is in right now and accurate right now may change by 2025, 2030, and so on. So always make sure that you are speaking with a dietitian when you're going through this process and also keeping up to date. But that's your dietitian's job. So if you are working with a dietitian, put your mind at ease. They will help guide you through it. But of course, this is a free resource. So I want to allow you to have some references that I personally used to get through this diet successfully at no cost to you. So save this video if you are joining me along this journey or you plan to in the future, because it will help. Without further ado, let's get into day one of the reintroduction phase. Running out of space on my camera, so I'm gonna try and make this fast. I did my first introduction phase late last week, and I chose avocado because that was just a food that I ate so much, and it was such a big part of my diet that I wanted to be able to add it back really fast. Now, that being said, I will not be adding it fully until after the low FODMAP diet is completely over, but now I know, and I can confidently say that avocado, meaning sorbitol, in the amounts in avocado does not mess up my stomach. So I can go back to eating that freely. But when you're done with the 3-day period of trying a new food out, you do have to return back to a low FODMAP, strict low FODMAP diet until your next challenge phase. Next for me, I'm thinking is going to be Greek yogurt. So I'm probably just gonna try lactose, like more lactose in general. Start having my yogurt bowls and increase the amounts of yogurt per serving that I'm eating. That's gonna be my next one, but I'm not gonna do that until it's Tuesday today. I'm probably not gonna do that until Thursday, because this past weekend, I felt like I needed a little break from the low FODMAP diet. I needed a break for my sanity. So what I ended up doing was I got some cookies. I only had about this much of a wheat-based cookie, so it had wheat and dairy in it. I didn't eat the entire cookie because I knew I wouldn't feel good if I ate the whole thing, just because how much sugar was in it. So I knew that I wanted to at least taste it, and honestly, the amount that I had, like, they're humongous cookies. Let me show you. We still have them because my boyfriend has not eaten them all yet, but essentially, I don't know if you can see this, hold on. So I had this one. I don't think I'm gonna finish it, but there's still a lot of cookies left, but unfortunately they have soy in them, and the one that I ate did not. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna try the ones that don't have soy. So I did. Didn't feel too great afterwards, even with the tiniest amount that I did have, but anyway, after that, the next day I did go and I had BurgerFi because I was able to remove all of the high FODMAP and soy products from the burger except for wheat. Wheat was the only thing because it was in the bun and I wasn't about to have a bunless burger. That's like defeating the purpose of taking a break. So I had a burger and it was amazing and I don't regret it. And I didn't feel necessarily bad afterwards, but I definitely was more bloated than I have been on this diet. So I'm very curious to systematically reintroduce wheat and see how much bloats me and makes me a bit uncomfortable, and if it's even worth it to cut out wheat entirely, because I've been really sad not having bread or bagels. I don't realistically see myself cutting out wheat entirely, but I know now that I can reduce it. But after lactose, I am going to reintroduce wheat and see definitively what's messing with my stomach, and we'll figure it out then. But so far, I meal planned for the week. I got all of my food. So I'm just gonna go about my week as normal, regular low FODMAP diet. On Thursday, I'm going to reintroduce milk and I will let you know how that goes. It is reintroduction challenge number 2. I am going to be trying out lactose, and my favorite way to do that is gonna be by having yogurt. I feel like I'm gonna enjoy it more than just drinking milk because I don't just drink milk. So this is how much I can have on day 1. The 3rd cup, then I can go to a half cup and then a full cup on day 3. I'm really curious about this one, so let's do it. That is nowhere near enough yogurt for a yogurt bowl, so if I'm still hungry afterwards, I'm just gonna have my coconut yogurt. Now, I used to add honey to my plain Greek yogurt to add a little bit of sweetness, but I can't do that because honey has high fructose content, and this would not be a proper low FODMAP diet if I tried to test 2 variables at once, because if I wind up with issues, I won't know which one was causing it. Maybe it's both, maybe it's one. So I'm just having plain Greek yogurt. It's a little tart, but I know this is a safe bet because every time I have a coconut yogurt bowl with fruit on top, I have no issues. So fingers crossed, you guys. So I'm in pain. I had my yogurt bowl like 2.5 hours ago, and while I was eating it, my stomach was grumbling, but then nothing happened. It wasn't until I had a smoothie, and yes, I had a smoothie. I wish I had like something solid. I didn't feel like cooking anything, so I'm like, you know what, smoothie's easy. I had lactose-free milk in it, I had oats, I had fruit, and all that good stuff, and I literally had the same exact smoothie with no problems. That's why I know it's the lactose that did this, but I am in pain. Like, I am having abdominal cramps right now, gas, and I went number 2 and it was borderline diarrhea. I'm sorry, this whole video is TMI. Like, if you can't handle me talking about poop, you should not be watching this video. But anyway, yes, it was diarrhea and it hurt coming out. So I am really bummed because that was just a 3rd cup of yogurt and I was eating yogurt every day. So that makes sense. But I feel like I should probably just call it quits and not follow through with the reintroduction for day 2 where I have a half a cup. But a part of me really wants to give it another shot because I'm in denial. Okay. So after I had my yogurt and had an upset stomach, I was in major denial. So I went ahead and re-challenged it the next day with, instead of a 3rd cup, a half cup, and I had the same outcome. So clearly my yogurt days are officially over and I'm gonna have to stick to coconut yogurt, which I am very disappointed about. But luckily there are other lactose-free options for me. Like, I have my lactose-free milk, there's lactose-free ice cream, there's There's whey protein isolate instead of whey protein concentrate, which is 99% lactose free. So I do have alternatives. So I'm not that upset, like it's okay. I'm just glad I know how sensitive I am to lactose, because before I didn't really have a threshold. So now, let's say if I go out and get ice cream with my friends, I'll know just to get the smallest portion, challenge that in the future and see if it gives me problems. So after that, I gave it a few days. It is now Tuesday of the following week, and my next challenge is garlic. We are on to the fructans, and this is a really big category. There's multiple challenges within just this one category. I have to try garlic, I have to try onions, and then I have to try wheat. And there's so much going on with this one, but the one that I am most curious about out of all of them is garlic, because I miss garlic so much. So what I'm gonna do is have a really basic dinner, things that I know for a fact do not mess up my stomach. I monitored my symptoms all day. I had 0 issues today. So that's a good starting point. Now I'm going to have a fraction of a clove, and because I'm a freak, I'm going to eat the entire thing. I'm not gonna cook it in with my meal. I'm gonna eat it separately, and I'm just gonna eat the garlic clove. It won't be an entire one this time, but I'm very curious because I love garlic and I'm really gonna enjoy, whether or not it gives me symptoms, I'm gonna enjoy eating that piece of the clove once I cook it a little bit. So there you have it. The moment has come. This is the piece of garlic I get to trial for day 1. So here goes nothing. I miss the taste of garlic so much. Okay, we'll see how I feel. Hello, so I am currently cooking breakfast, and as you can tell, I'm making hash browns and fried eggs. And last night I finished the reintroduction phase of garlic. So the first day I had a quarter clove, the second day I had half a clove, and then the third day I had a full clove. So last night I had a full clove of garlic, and the only symptom I had was gas, but no bloating, no abdominal cramping, no loose stools, just gas. So if I really think about it, I'm fine with that. I am fine with being able to eat garlic and just having a little bit of gas. So that's a win. However, it does make me more conscious of garlic in my foods. So maybe there's certain occasions where I don't feel like having gas, then I know to omit it. And also, I am absolutely going to continue getting garlic infused olive oil. I'm actually using it for my hash browns right now because I just think that it's such a great replacement for garlic that doesn't mess up my stomach at all, doesn't give me any gas. So I'm gonna keep using that and eating garlic, you know, in my foods after this reintroduction phase. I'm gonna eat it when the opportunity arises. But now I am more conscious and aware of how my body reacts to it. So I'm really happy with it. Next up, for the next 3 days, I have to go back on strict low FODMAP until my next food. So I will see you then. Hey you, it's been a while. I've honestly completely lost track of what week I'm in of this whole diet. I reintroduced wheat last week and the beginning of this week. Now, I went away on a trip to Daytona Beach this past weekend, and that managed to screw a lot of things up. So let's first chat about reintroducing wheat for the first time. I had my heart set on Carrabba's white bread. You're supposed to have either like whole wheat bread or pasta as the reintroduction. So here is the reintroduction schedule for you to use in your own low FODMAP journey. But I chose Carrabba's because I'm like, okay, I'm really just craving Carrabba's bread right now, and I have to reintroduce gluten at some point anyway. So I'm going to do it right for me. So I went to Carrabba's with my friend. So you can just watch this video. Watch me absolutely devour this bread because it was a beautiful moment. I took that one as a success. I did not experience any negative symptoms after having that small piece of bread. The next day, I introduced even more of it. So I actually asked the server to pack up some bread for me to go. And I had that the first night of my trip. I ate it about an hour and a half before my meal. The problem was, if you watched my last video, you know that I went out of town, but I grocery shopped every day to accommodate the low FODMAP elimination phase. But on this trip, I did not do that. I was staying in a hotel. I did not have access to a kitchen. So I ate out every single meal, which I hate. I hate doing that. I really like now, because of my stomach problems, being in complete control of the whole cooking process. I like to be the one to cook my food now in most cases, because I know that what I'm feeding myself is not gonna make me sick. And unfortunately, on Friday night, the server at the restaurant messed up my soy sensitivity with a gluten sensitivity. So I believe I was introduced to soy that night because my stomach was messed up until Sunday. Yep, that's how I know it was soy, because that's the only food that actually makes me feel sick for almost 48 hours, sometimes 48 hours completely, and it's just not a good time. So I knew it was soy, and I knew it would not be appropriate to complete my reintroduction of wheat feeling like that, because then I won't be able to monitor my gas, my bloating, my diarrhea, anything like that, because I'm already messed up. So I decided to wait until I got back from my trip and my stomach had completely settled before I introduced the last amount of wheat, which was 2 whole slices of bread. And I chose Dave's bread to do this. I looked through the ingredients, and I believe the only high FODMAP ingredients were wheat or those containing gluten. So that's what I did. I had a little bit of bloating, a little bit of gas. And so I think for myself going forward, I am not going to completely restrict myself from gluten containing foods or anything wheat-based for that matter. However, I am going to be watching my portion sizes much more carefully, because as you can see, and this is exactly why we do a reintroduction in 3 amounts. What did not give me symptoms at 1 amount gave me symptoms at another. So now I know, I have more clarity on where I stand with gluten, because I always had a tiny inkling that I might be a little bit sensitive to the fructans in gluten, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I believe this confirmed it. So once I go to the adapted phase, that's when I'm really gonna start incorporating it more consistently into my diet to assess, is it worth it, or should I be going completely gluten-free? I don't think I need to be that extreme, but it is good to have some clarity at this point in the process. But it is now Wednesday, and my stomach has completely settled from my trip. I'm back to my normal routine. I feel amazing. I had gluten-free waffles today. So good. I will drop the gluten-free waffle recipe in the description, along with all of the other beautiful recipes I've used throughout this journey, because you should definitely try them. So tomorrow I am going to begin the reintroduction of another fructan, because we are staying in the fructan category, going through the ones that you're supposed to identify individually. So we've done garlic, we've done wheat. Now I believe I'm gonna try onion, but I haven't fully decided yet. I'll talk to you soon when I have my crap figured out. Hello. Gosh, I haven't done this in forever. I think it's been 2 weeks since I checked in at all. Basically, I wanted to go over what's happened the past couple of weeks. First, I reintroduced onion, and it was tolerable, but not completely. I did end up having some gas with that, but I went through the whole process. I started with a quarter, then what did I do? An eighth, then a quarter, then a half an onion. And each time I did have a little bit more gas every time. Honestly, when I go back to my adapted phase, I'll probably eat onions every once in a while without much thought, because it's really hard to cut that out entirely from my diet, which is fine. And then I went on to Brussels sprouts, and that was the most disappointing, because I knew going into it that I already have issues with them. But I did it for the purpose of the reintroduction phase. I started with my challenge of 3 Brussels sprouts. That's it, 3. And it was horrible. I ended up having GI symptoms for almost 24 hours after that. So I lay it to rest. I understand that I'm not going to be able to reintroduce Brussels sprouts again into my diet. And that's that. That's just the sad sad fact. Also, I ended up having a meltdown one night because I ordered takeout. I just did not feel like cooking one night because I've been doing it so often. And turns out I was so hungry when I was ordering that I skimmed through what I was getting. I ordered from Blaze Pizza, which is very allergy friendly, so I knew what I was getting, but I ordered half a pizza by accident, and literally when it showed up an hour later, I started bawling my eyes out because I'm just so frustrated. I was so frustrated with having to deal with the diet mentality for so long that it really messed me up psychologically. So that was hard and it sucked, but yeah. Luckily, that was the only time throughout this entire 2-month process that I had a meltdown like that, but it really goes to show you how mentally taxing restriction can be. And if you don't have to do it, I don't recommend it. But let's talk about some of the positives. The biggest positive for me was that I am totally free of a lot of my GI symptoms. The first month of doing it, I would say I mitigated around half of my symptoms, but I would say confidently that 75% of my negative symptoms have been relieved, which is such an amazing step in the right direction. On top of that, my skin, I know you can't tell because I am in the sun right now and it's really harsh, it's midday, but my skin looks so much better. I have not had cystic acne in 2 weeks, and before that, I had at least one cystic pimple like every single day for over a year. So that is a huge accomplishment. I will touch base when I'm not sweating my butt off trying to get to the gym. So I'll talk to you soon. So I had a teaspoon and a half of honey last night. It is now 8:51 in the morning, and I woke up a couple times in the middle of the night and I felt like a bubble in my stomach. I woke up very, very gassy. Not bloated, I didn't have any pain, and so far my poops have been normal, but I've just been very gassy, and everything else I ate that night was normal, so I suspect it was the honey. Since I didn't have like really true negative symptoms other than that, I am gonna continue with this reintroduction and add in more tonight and see how I feel. But essentially I got the same feeling that I got with onion, very similar sensations, which would make sense because before the low FODMAP diet, I had incorporated so much honey and so much onions into my diet, along with so many other FODMAP foods that I didn't even think about. And I was literally always gassy and always felt like I had like a bubble in my stomach. So it's all starting to come together. Okay, I know I look crazy right now, but try and focus on my words. This weekend, I am at, as you can see, a hair modeling gig. So I am out of town for 3 nights, 4 days. So I was proactive and actually did what I didn't do last month when I was like all over the state intermittently. I this time decided to meal plan and meal prep. So I packed a huge cooler to bring all of my food in, and I came prepared. Breakfasts, lunches, dinners, all conveniently enough to fit in the mini fridge that's in my hotel room. But what I did not realize is how accommodating and how many options I would have at this show. First of all, I didn't know that they were going to feed us and do catered breakfasts and lunches. And I also didn't know that I was gonna find like amazing model friends and we were gonna go out to dinner each night. So those were 2 discoveries that I did not anticipate. What I could have done is say, screw this, I'm sticking to my diet, I'm sticking to all the food that I packed, and I'm not going out with anybody, I'm just going to eat my meals in my hotel room. Or what I could do, my option 2, is just focus on the soy sensitivity this weekend, make sure that I keep that at bay, and I don't eat anything with soy, but everything else that I know I can tolerate up until this point, meaning onion for the most part in small amounts, gluten, those are the 2 big ones, garlic in small amounts, that I would allow myself to go off strict low FODMAP for this weekend. It did not seem worth it to me at this late in the game, feeling this good, to continue when I know I will have a better time just eating the catered food as long as I check for soy, which seriously, like, this is the best experience I've had traveling since the onset of my stomach problems. The hotel that I'm staying at is so accommodating. I went went out to dinner last night, got a margarita pizza. So gluten was really the only FODMAP of the pizza, and I had no problems. And then this morning I had a breakfast buffet of fruit, and what else did I have? Walnuts, just things that I knew I could generally have, but I also had pastries. I had like 3 pastries this morning because they were made in-house and they didn't have soy. So that was amazing. For lunch, I was able to have a wrap and a salad, which was really nice. And then for dinner tonight, me and 6 of the other models went out to dinner at Bahama Breeze. And you know what? I'm a little bloated, but not the uncomfortable kind of bloated, more like the bloated, like I just ate a really great filling meal. So that kind of bloating, I am totally okay with. In fact, I feel so good now, the past 2 days, being able to eat with less restrictions than I necessarily did having to use all those restrictions. I allowed myself to kind of go off the low FODMAP diet this weekend because I knew like I'm not gonna want to miss out on connecting with these other women or going out to eat at a really nice restaurant. That social aspect that I keep bringing up because it's important. Like life is meant to be enjoyed. Food is meant to be enjoyed. And I feel like I wouldn't be taking away from that if I just said, you know what, I'm gonna stay at home. I have to eat what I prepared. And this food is still gonna be fresh tomorrow. And I do plan on making my own breakfast tomorrow using what I have. So not all this food is gonna go to waste. Like I did already have one of the lunches because if you know me, you know I eat very often. So I still, even with this crazy job, being go, go, go 24/7, I still managed to get in at least eating 5 or 6 times a day. So I have, of course, utilized what I brought, but I am allowing myself more freedom on this gig, and I feel so good about it. So I just wanted to hop in here with some encouragement. If you are going through the low FODMAP diet and you feel like life sucks right now, do not worry, it does get better, and you can allow yourself some freedom. Truly do. Like if you're in a situation where it doesn't make sense to be low FODMAP, just eat what you know you can have with that you know you won't get a painful reaction. It all comes down to how you're going to feel after that meal. If you're gonna be a little bit bloated, like you ate till you were full or stuffed, you know, that is fine. As long as you're not in pain and not super inflamed. That is my little sayonara for tonight. I am signing off. I'm going to bed. It's call time is 7 a.m. and that means I have to wake up at 6 a.m. because of my insanely long walk all the way down to the room that we're supposed to be in. So I will see you guys later. Good night. It has come to my attention that I really need to start wrapping up this video soon. It is now September 3rd and I have had a crazy August and it of course didn't go anywhere as planned. First of all, the second week of August, I did another hair show. So I was meal prepping and I had every intention of sticking with the diet, but then I got there and they actually fed us and I got along so well with the models that I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go out to eat with them. I'm not gonna stick to the low FODMAP diet. I'm just gonna take what I know already from doing the reintroductions. For example, that I can eat gluten and just continue doing what I've been doing. And then I went on vacation and I thought that I had finished the reintroduction phase by the time I went on vacation. But because of that little hiccup doing the hair show, I still had 2 food groups that I had to reintroduce. One are the oligosaccharides and I chose to do chickpeas for that. And then 2 mannitol, and I was going to do cauliflower for that. So as of right now, I have only reintroduced the first part of the chickpeas because I'm gonna show you what I have. I have these chickpea snacks. I really didn't feel like going out and like buying beans or anything else. So I've just been using these to reintroduce. I had bought them prior, and since starting the diet, I knew I couldn't eat them, but now, since they've been sitting in my pantry, I'm finally able to put them to use. So I did that yesterday, and turns out I don't have any issues with chickpeas. I'm noticing the patterns with myself now. It's really apparent to me that fructans are my main problem. So I'm curious to ride out the rest of the oligosaccharides and then go into mannitol and then finally like put this diet to rest because I'm going to Connecticut in a couple weeks and I want to get it done before then. So I know like beyond a shadow of a doubt what causes me problems and what doesn't. So that is what I am planning on on doing. But this just goes to show you that even as a registered dietitian, this diet is hard to follow. I honestly now wish that I had someone other than myself holding me accountable. I think it would have been beneficial for me to go to a dietitian, but you know, I didn't want to pay for that. But all in all, with or without one, I'm getting through it. So I hope this gives some encouragement and lets you feel like a little less pressure if you're doing the low FODMAP diet. Like, it's okay if you have to take a week off or 2 weeks off. So be it. You can always get back on. Just make sure that when you do, you are on strict low FODMAP so you don't impact the experimentation of all of the food groups. But since getting back from my vacation, almost all of my negative symptoms have cleared up. Even with the reintroductions, I feel good. The only symptom I have left is gas. But you know what? Gas is normal sometimes. It's actually weird if you're completely gas-free, no matter what you eat. So I'm really happy with it. I don't really bloat anymore. I really don't have loose stools like I did. Everything else is just, it's gone. And I'm pretty astounded. 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, even 4 weeks in, I didn't feel like it was really working the way it was supposed to. But then after understanding, you know, serving sizes and what foods might still be triggers for me, I now feel so much better. And I'm very confident that this diet works for its intended purpose. So I will see you in my next recap once I reintroduce all of the chickpeas and then go into cauliflower, and then I'm done. And then we can talk about it and we can think about everything that this entire summer was. Summer's over now. Like, I need to get a move on. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll see you soon. Okay, but before I go, can we also just look at my skin? Please go back. And this is no makeup. I have absolutely nothing on right now. Go back to my first video and look at the progression of how my skin improves. I'm shocked at how much better my skin looks. I've also been focusing on my hormone health a lot through this. So I've been taking some extra supplements and it has been working. So just bask in it. Bask in the glow. It's beautiful, isn't it? Hello. It is a beautiful Saturday and I am at the beach, and I wanted to touch base and conclude this very long YouTube video. Let's chat first and foremost about the chickpea situation. I had those chickpea snacks that I ate for a couple days, but to be honest, for the amount of chickpeas that you have to eat in order to test and reintroduce them, I had a really hard time getting down. Chickpeas are not my favorite. Any type of legumes, lentils, beans, I don't really eat on a regular basis. So it was like really hard for me to get to the second day of the reintroduction where I had to have a full cup or a cup and a half of chickpeas, because it's just not something I do on the regular. And then that made me think, okay, well, if this isn't something that I normally do and I never have this quantity of this type of food in my diet, then why am I forcing myself to eat it in that quantity just for the sake of reintroduction? So I didn't follow through with the chickpea reintroduction. There's literally no point, because very rarely do I ever eat chickpeas. Black beans are like the one type of bean that I eat on the regular because it's in like a lot of Mexican dishes. So when I go out to eat, sometimes I'll have it. But again, it's never in a substantial quantity that I would foresee it ever messing up my stomach. Now, there is a question to beg in regards to pea proteins, or like those plant-based protein powders and supplements. I know those mess up my stomach, so I'm gonna avoid them. I'm sticking with whey protein isolate because I know that I'm in the clear with those. That was my experience with the chickpeas. I am not going to continue worrying about it because it's just not something that's in my diet regularly to begin with. Now, finally, the last thing I had to reintroduce was in the mannitol category. So I reintroduced cauliflower. I made these stuffed peppers with, everything was low FODMAP. I didn't use red peppers, I used green and orange, and I actually was able to find sausage without garlic powder in it, which is crazy hard to do. The sausage was low FODMAP, everything was except for the cauliflower. So I thought this was a perfect dish to reintroduce it because I really don't like steamed cauliflower. I'll eat it, but it's not something that I'm going to purposefully add to any of my dishes at home. I've literally never cooked cauliflower at home before. So I got riced cauliflower. I thought it would be better. It would be more enjoyable all around to incorporate it into a dish instead of having it separate and isolated, like I did with the Brussels sprouts, for example. That I wanted to have on its own because I truly missed it, but I did not miss cauliflower. In fact, I really never have it. The only time I used to have it frequently was when I was living at my dad's house, and that was like his preferred carbohydrate. So back then I was eating cauliflower a lot. And let me tell you, my stomach was messed up all the time back then. So sure enough, cauliflower did end up causing some gas and abdominal cramping. I was like, you know what? That's fine. I don't mind because I don't normally eat it anyway. So now I know I have so much better of an understanding of what hurts my stomach and what doesn't. And it's quite funny how most of the foods that cause me gas or abdominal cramping, any of those symptoms, I don't normally eat anyway. Like it's stuff I could live without, basically. Like onions, for example, I could live without onions. Plus I have green onions, which provide the same type of flavor, but are low FODMAP. So I've been still cooking with those a lot. Same thing with garlic. I love garlic, but now that I have discovered garlic infused olive oil, I can use garlic and garlic powders very sparingly in my cooking and when I go out to eat, but then use the majority as garlic infused olive oil. I'm probably not gonna touch cauliflower, to be honest. The only other ones that caused me problems was lactose, but I have Lactaid and I have lactose-free milk, so I am able to have more lactose-free dairy. That's not an issue. I really learned with this challenge to make easy swaps. That's all I'm doing. I'm just swapping out some old things that used to cause me problems with new things. I don't really feel like I'm moving forward, like taking anything out that substantially is gonna like make my life worse. The only things that I truly miss are the things with soy in them, but because soy messes up my stomach so bad, I'm okay without them. Now, gluten, I'm so relieved I was able to add gluten back without problems. Granted, if I do have, like anybody, a lot of carbs in a day, like a lot of refined carbs, I will feel like I have more water retention and a little bit bloated, but that's normal. And I normally don't have a high amount of refined carbs in my diet, so that's not a concern. So I'm glad gluten didn't affect me poorly. I've discovered my triggers. I discovered even some things that like just cause a little bit of gas, but I could live with. Like if I go out to eat with my friends and there's something on the menu that I really like, but it has an item that I can either take it out, like if I get a burger, I could just say no onions, or if it's something that I really want to have in the dish and I'm like, you know what, I'll just be gassy for the night and then I'll be fine, then of course I'm gonna eat it anyways. So it's all about finding your true triggers, what's really gonna realistically impact your life negatively, because a little bit of gas, everybody has gas. Everybody farts. Even girls, I know it's hard to believe sometimes, but girls fart. So I'm not upset about that necessarily. So I came out of this challenge so happy that I have the knowledge now that I feel like 100% confident that I can walk someone through this diet without it feeling like the worst thing in the world. I know how to structure it now, and I know how to track and monitor symptoms, and I just feel so much more knowledgeable and also so much better. Like my gut health hasn't been this good since like 2 years ago before I started birth control, and I feel 10 times better. The first couple weeks, yes, were a struggle. But after those couple weeks, when I got my bearings and I really figured out how to do this diet successfully, I feel so much better. So the reintroduction phase was fun. I got through it. I am now in phase 3, which I don't think I'm gonna make an entire dedicated video on, but I certainly can if you guys want me to. So drop in the comments if you wanna see phase 3, which is the adapted phase. But pretty much all it is just going back to your normal way of eating and removing your food, your triggers. So that's what I've been doing for the past week or so, and I haven't had any problems because now I understand my body, what's gonna affect it poorly, what isn't, and I get to move on. Another one that I forgot to mention, last but not least, bananas. So any like really high fructose fruit or vegetable doesn't sit well with me, but now I know what those foods are. So I can do like greener bananas, the ones that aren't yet ripe, because they have less fructose in them, but I cannot do ripe bananas. They actually go right through me, which was something that was crazy for me to discover. discover. But anyways, I'm super thankful and happy that I was able to accomplish this diet without much fuss and learn, like really learn my body in ways that I never expected. I highly recommend you do this diet if you are diagnosed with IBS or SIBO, but I recommend that you first and foremost do it with a dietitian because it is hard to do on your own. I struggled a lot in the beginning, but I am here to help. If you want to book a 15-minute free call with me, you absolutely can through my website, which is linked in the bio. If you enjoyed this, if you want me to do more food challenges or anything like that, definitely subscribe, give it a like, and let me know because I am more than happy to do it. I'm more than happy to experiment and experience new things for you. So I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, your week, your night, whenever you are watching this, and I will see you later.